Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at another old Transformer, well, 1988 to be exact, but we're going to be looking at the TriggerCon Ruckus. So, Ruckus, he is a TriggerCon, so he has automatic flip-out guns, and he's a little dune buggy, or at least I'd say he's a dune buggy. There's his guns. This is their, like, neutral position, I guess you could say, I think. Yeah. I think these are, like, the neutral position, just they're naturally out like that. So, yeah, he's just a little dune buggy, purple, all over in the, like, tannish. Oops. Okay. So, yeah, a little bit of paint for the windows, a little bit of, like, venting lining. The stickers, this side's a little tore up, this side is slightly tore up and a little faded, but, so yeah, just a small little dune buggy. So, guess let's transform him. And the trigger cons, or the trigger bots, I think, aren't too complex. It was that sort of era, the 80s, 88, that just simple, fun little toys, like the fire cons. I looked at them whenever I did. I don't know when I looked at them, but just simple, fun little toys. So if you don't know anything about the trigger cons or trigger bots, they either have slow-moving guns or they have flip-out guns. So they're like spring-loaded, or these ones. Ruckus has these. Mine, I had to fix, so I'll show that more off in robot mode. But so you're supposed to flip out its legs, you have to extend them the tiniest little bit, so you can see obviously the split in the window and this like step, I guess you could say, and it can't clear the guns because they're in the way. I don't know if the guns are supposed to go higher or something. I think they are, because they're supposed to be a midway point, so these guns stick out, like, out to here, so more like this in a higher angle than this short down angle, I think. But so we're just gonna flip it out and just do that. So gonna flip the legs around. I guess you can leave them up or down, doesn't really matter, but I'll just leave them up. Now you just flip him over, and I just like to angle. You can't angle his arms, but doesn't really matter. And there's Ruckus. There are probably stickers on his chest at some point, like right there, like a Decepticon symbol, or like right there on his stomach. But yeah, there's Ruckus. So, as you could probably see, that when I had to do this, like bring it back all the way, I had to push down the button and hold it there and make sure that it didn't come undone. And that's because my copy, the little clip, so there are, I'm just going to scoot him back just to show you. So there are teeth on these guns. Well, there's 2 teeth on this one gun. My right, your left. So there are teeth in it. There are 2 big teeth, like on a gear or like a sprocket. So, and there's a little latch that goes in front of it and stops it from going forward. So that, in that sense, it stops it from going up. When it's released, and that motor is just old, I ground up a bit of a pencil because I didn't have any graphite powder. Graphite powder is a natural lubricant, and it's very good at loosening things up if you don't want like silicone grease or other lubricants for plastic. So, but that stop that keeps that tooth from moving forward and rotating and bringing the guns up, that was broken off. So when I first had this guy, you could hear him rattling from that piece being broken off, and from that piece being broken off, so you couldn't make them stay. If they did stay, it was probably just the old nature of the gears inside of the motor that these guns are connected to. So, so those teeth, so that little clip was broken off, so they could just move freely. And I had to go into that slot and slightly file away some of that. File a tiny little bit of clearance in there for this little clip, this little button to move back and forth. And the reason why I have to bring it down and then I have to stop it for it to get for that stopper, I guess you could say, to get in front of that tooth to keep it from moving, is I think that this spring isn't strong enough. And that's not due to the toy or its age. It's due to how I had to disassemble it and reassemble it to fix him. That is why. I wish he worked a lot better. He does work a lot better than what he did for being broken. I'm glad that I fixed him, but I wish I could have fixed him better so he could work perfectly and work a lot better. But this toy does not like to be taken apart. It's not like a toy nowadays or even other toys of its time where you just take out a couple of screws or drive a pin out or something like that, or just wiggle the pieces apart, unclipping some tabs and stuff that's probably molded in to the pieces to snap together. There's none of that. This thing is very complex. So right here on the top, right there with that slot, and one down here where you see that line right there, that line where the two parts are put together, it goes into the legs like that. And there are the same, and it's like a hook. So it's a angle in the front, so when it goes in, it can easily slide in, and then that plastic skips over that angle and goes into a harsh wall. So it's like a barb. So it secures this back plate on there because there's a barb basically latching over like this. So it goes over, under, and then it latches sort of like this. And so you're dealing with that, so you can't just pull it out because there's one down here and there's one up here, so you can't pull it out. There's no way for a tool to get in there to push them, so you can just pull this out. And these guns are connected via a recessed piece in their diameter. So I'll use this laser pointer as an example. There is a recessed groove inside of this, and then there's a recessed groove in a wall piece that fits over that, so it can't move. And that's the same thing that was in here. So when I had to pull it apart, I can't just pull the guns off and then slide the two halves out, because you can see the line of where the two pieces of chest and the arms go together. You can't do that. You have to just fight and almost pry him apart, like pry from the front just till he like pops open. And you have to do something very similar to putting him back together. And when I was taking him apart, many of the times this button would stay in here when I was trying to pull it out, and it would stress and probably stretch out that spring, so it doesn't have the same amount of pulling force as it did before. So this guy is a very big pain to take apart and fix. He's almost not even worth taking apart. It's fun to have a functioning toy, especially with something with a super fun gimmick, but for how much struggle it is to take it apart and potentially break something or introduce new issues like this button not having enough tension because I might have accidentally stretched that spring out, it's almost not even worth it, So number one, look for one that isn't broken. I got this guy for like $2. So it was worth it for me to experiment and try to fix him. But if I bought this for like $20 and higher and he was broken, I would just leave him broken. It's not worth it. But this toy, not bring in any considerations of broken, fixing, or just perfect. This is a very fun toy. Just he's simple. You can just basically just flip him back and forth. He's just moving his legs. You get shoulder articulation, which is better than like Spinister and some other toys of his time. You know, the Fire Cons, which I looked at. They have no shoulders. They may have legs, but he still has a mono knee. I don't know. So me personally, if you can find him for like $20, he's worth the $20. And if you can find him for even less, just grab it. You know, he's not bad. He's not good. Just he has that 80s old Transformers charm. Like the Firecons. They were just solely meant to be toys. They're not like the original Optimus Prime toy that are just good toys that are fine to be released nowadays, you know. This guy, he was purely made to be a toy, and he succeeds at it. He's simple to transform, he's fun, he's simple to transform, he's got a cool gimmick that's not intrusive, and he just looks like a cool guy, you know. That's all he's supposed to be. He's just supposed to be a fun little toy to play with. And that's what I love about him. This is where I live when it comes to G1. This is where I live in this niche of 86 to 89. You know, they're toys like this, and they're solely meant to be toys. Obviously, all of them were meant to be toys, but these were meant to be toys for everyone. Not people that had a lot of money, not people that had too little money, but for everyone. Everyone can play with him. Everyone can have fun playing with him. And that is why, you know, objectively, looking at him compared to some of the toys before him, some of the toys after him, and even some of the toys during his time, he kind of sucks, but that doesn't matter. That's why I love him so much. That's why I love him. He's just so stupid and fun. And that's one thing that I'm not going to get into that right now, but I love him. If you can find him for $20, maybe even $30, buy him, and less. Buy him. He's just so super, super fun. I really, really like him, and I think that's it. So, see you next time.